Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For everyone just joining, I'm Angela. If you're subscribed to my blog or you've watched a couple of live streams I've done with Nicole, you've probably heard me mention this book before. Today I wanted to shine the spotlight on Win Some Lose Some by Shay. Since its publication, I've probably read this book 4 or 5 times. I just really enjoy it. I've mentioned this before, but I only do book review videos for stories that I enjoy. It takes me a really long time to film, edit, and then post a video, and I want to spend that time with something I enjoy. Well, the book I am highlighting today, I absolutely love. I'm letting you know right now that this is a 5-star review. I'm telling you, there's just something about this book. Let's start from the beginning. Matthew is 18 years old and he's living alone. Both of his parents recently passed away, and the only person he can really turn to for advice or anything really is his uncle. He has a sister, but because she has such severe autism, he has to pay for special care for her. But she has such severe autism, he can't care for her himself. He has to make sure she's provided for by the team of doctors that he trusts. Because of how things are, he doesn't get to see her too frequently. While his sister has severe autism, Matthew's is a little bit more mild, although it's still very present. He tries to keep to himself and doesn't really socialize with other people at school. Matthew really likes his plans and everything has to be done to schedule. Matthew has his routine and he does his best to stick to it. He goes to his locker at a certain time, he has to sit in the same seat. Everything for him has to be done specifically according to plan. And when things don't go according to plan, he can get very upset or even have an episode. He can't have panic attacks and his uncle will be called in to care for him. Matthew really does his best and he starts to view his days as either a win or a loss. Hence the title, Win Some Lose Some. You can't win every day, but you can't lose every day either. And this is not a spoiler, but I find it really interesting what he constitutes a win and what constitutes a loss from his perspective. The things he places value on makes me enjoy him as a character just so much more. It's so sweet to see what matters to him. And the reasons why he's calling certain days a win and certain days a loss will really touch your heart. And the reason I'm spending so much time talking about Matthew as a character is because the entire book is told from his perspective. There's no his and her perspective in this romance novel, it's just his. Savage has done this before with some of her other stories. And if you've been watching my channel, you know Transcendence is one of my absolute favorite romance novels. That book is in a league of its own. I will recommend that book forever. And because I fell head over heels in love with that book, I tried to read every single book by Shay, which is why I read this one. It is so rare to see a romance novel written entirely from the male perspective, but Savage does this brilliantly. Seriously, just go add all of her books to your to-be read list. One day when Matthew walks into class, he finds another student sitting in his seat and he starts to panic. The teacher then encourages him to take a seat right near Mayra. And since this is a science class, and in those types of classes, you get paired up with the person sitting right next to you, Matthew gets paired up with Mayra. Since this is for a school project, he has to figure out a way to work with her. And Mayra is so patient and understanding with Matthew, you can't help but love them together. Because of her disposition, Mayra is able to integrate herself into Matthew's life in a way that doesn't make him anxious. And then pretty soon, he can't picture his life without her. And first love stories really are my personal catnip. There's just something about first love stories. I think Savage did a great job capturing the autism experience. This woman clearly did her research, and it shows. The more I read, the more invested I became. Mayra and Matthew were just so cute together. I mean, I was really rooting for Matthew and Mayra. I was sitting there reading this book acting like their own personal cheerleader. They came across as so real, you couldn't help but want them to be happy. And while I do think of it as a first love story, there's a little bit of a slow burn to it as well, which is why I was rooting for these two characters so much. Matthew is just such a fresh breath of air. You get to experience him working up the courage to ask Mayra out and seeking advice from his aunt and uncle on how best to approach her. And because it's told from his perspective, you're really able to get into his head and experience those moments, which of course are completely swoon-worthy. He's not an alpha hero, he is a complete cinnamon roll. And mini spoiler alert, there is an attack scene, in which case Matthew steps up and takes down 4 guys, giving him a little bit of an alpha hero moment. Then he went right back to being the complete sweetheart that the reader knew and loved. I could certainly keep going and talking about this book, but I want this to remain a spoiler-free book review, because I really do think you should go get a copy of this book and read it. If you'd like a full book discussion of Win Some Lose Some, just let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate you listening to me talk about this book that I absolutely love. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay kind and creative, and make today a great reading and writing day. Bye, my loves!